Hello and welcome back to Meemaw Gaming. This is episode 2 of my beginner's guide to League of Legends, and in this episode I'm going to talk about jungling. In League of Legends you'll see the 3 lanes on the map. In between each of the lanes you'll have what's known as the jungle. You can see these split up by what's known as the lake going down the opposite way to the mid lane. In the jungle you'll find lots of neutral monsters. Some of these monsters will give you buffs, others are just there to give you XP. The main point of jungling is to take advantage of these neutral monsters, as it will give at least one of the other people on your team extra XP, as they won't be splitting it between the two of you in a lane. Another point of jungling is to take advantage of the fact that the enemy team can't see you, you're in the fog of war, they can't see where you are. This gives your team the opportunity to sneak up on enemies through you sneaking up on them. And generally a jungler will have a stun ability. This means that you can stun an enemy and you and whoever's in that lane on your team can try and attack them and hopefully get a kill. So when you're jungling, where do you start? There's lots of neutral mobs, and they all spawn after the minions in lane, so where would you want to go? Well, I start at blue buff generally, and you can see where it is on the map here. Blue buff gives you better cooldown reduction and gives you increased mana regeneration, allowing you to use your abilities a lot more whilst you're going around in the jungle, because you will need them, especially on your first run through, because you'll only be level 1 and you won't have much mana. Your cooldowns will be huge, and it will make it really difficult for going around and killing the rest of the mobs. Where would you go next? Well, just located nearby is wolves. Here you'll find a pack of 3 wolves. The big wolf doesn't give you any buffs, however he does give you a slight bit of health regen, along with a couple of the other mobs, so I'll tell you as and when. These 3 will be quick to take down, and by this point you'll almost definitely have level 2. After that you want to go to wraiths, which are across onto the other side of the jungle, and to get there you'll need to cross over the mid lane. Here you'll find wraiths, which are very similar to wolves in the sense that they'll give you a health bonus, well the big one will, and they're fairly weak as well. After this you want to go just around the corner to red buff. Same as blue buff, the big guy here will give you a passive effect, however this one is a damage over time effect that sets the enemies that you basic attack on fire. After this, just around the corner, is 2 golems. Now these guys can be a bit tanky, so you'll take these guys last, however the big one will give you another health bonus. Now after this point, it's up to you. If you think you've got the health to gank a lane, which I'll go on about in a minute, do it. It's always useful to have somebody ganking lanes. Almost always it's the jungler. Also by this point you'll have hit level 3, which is always useful for having all your abilities up. At this point you've got a choice. You can recall if you think you're a bit low on health, or like I said before, you can gank a lane. Recalling, you probably want to buy a few more items, so let's have a look at what items you want to buy as a jungler. First off, you're going to want to buy Hunter's Machete, as this increases your damage done to these monsters in the jungle by 10%, and it also does an additional 10 bonus magic damage and restores 5 health per hit. This effect, whilst 1 or 2 times it's not going to be big, at a low level, the amount of times you're going to be attacking these monsters, this will increase your jungle clear time severely. You're also going to want to buy 5 health pots, as they restore 150 HP over 15 seconds. Whilst you may not end up using all 5, keeping them on you as you go into the mid game can be handy, and using these during the jungle is nearly essential. Whilst you may get through blue buff without using any, maybe wolves, by the time you get to race you're going to be taking a lot of damage, and these will be almost essential for if you want to take red buff. Yeah, you may not use all of them. I generally only use 3, maybe 4. I've sometimes got away with 2. It's a bit random. You'll usually end up using most of them during your first jungle run of the game. When you go to blue buff at the start of the game, you're going to want to ask for some help off the team. It's something that you can take on your own at level 1, but the damage you'll take and the time it will take just won't be worth it. Usually you'll ask your mid laner to come and help you, however sometimes your top or bottom lane, depending on which side of the map you're on, will come and help you as well. Usually you're going to be the one taking the damage, but the increased damage onto the blue buff itself will be helping you out. So you've cleared the jungle, maybe your second time now, and you're looking around the map thinking, okay, where do I gank? How do I gank? Well, like I said earlier, usually you're going to be playing a champion with a stun. That's just what most of the junglers have. That's what makes a jungler a jungler. Generally a ranged stun, or some way to move themselves to the opponent. An example of this is Amumu. His Q ability, known as Bandage Toss, he throws a bandage at the target location, it latches onto an enemy, he pulls himself towards them, and they're stunned, which is really useful for initiating a gank when it's 2v1. This could be at a mid lane, and the two, which is you and your mid laner, versus the enemy mid laner, you're going to get the kill almost all the time. And if you don't get the kill, you've pushed them out of lane, you've done damage to them, whatever it is, you've helped. So once you've killed or pushed the enemy champion out of lane, then what? Well, usually you're going to want to try and push down a turret, or maybe just at least do damage to it. If you can weaken a turret, you've helped again. And usually afterwards you just want to disappear back into your jungle, do a bit more farming. But that's not all there is to jungling. You've also got counter jungling, which isn't as complicated as it sounds. It's just going into your enemy's side, into their jungle, and trying to steal some of their monsters. Now my recommendation is, if you are going to counter jungle, leave one of the weaker monsters. This will stop the camp from respawning, as it only starts the respawn timer once all the camp has been killed. A camp being all the minions in that zone. So if you do counter jungle, the enemy will have to go there and clear out one really weak enemy. He won't get much gold or XP out of it. This can put him really far behind and put you really far ahead if you do it really well, but can also put you behind if you let him do it. So remember to ward up your own jungle, which is another point of jungling. You want to keep the lake areas warded so you can keep an eye out for people counter jungling and people attempting to go from one lane to another to gank. Another part of jungling is your summoner spells, as all junglers need to take Smite. This only works on minions and monsters, not on champions. However, when you're taking big objectives such as Dragon and Baron, or when you're just taking blue and red buff for the first time, or even when you're counter jungling or just normally jungling, this summoner spell, Smite, can be extremely useful in starting the damage, and it's a really low cooldown, I believe 40 seconds compared to some of the others like Ignite, which is over 300. Smite does a lot of damage to any monster or minion, and when you're taking a big objective such as Baron or Dragon, this is something that your team will need if they want to secure it, if there's enemies around and things like that. You'll probably remember from last episode, I was playing Amumu and I managed to steal a dragon from an enemy team by smiting it whilst pulling into an enemy. This stunned the enemy, stopping them from attacking, secured the team the dragon kill. Dragon and Baron are very important objectives. I'll cover them in a different episode. However, just briefly, Baron gives you a really powerful buff to anybody who's alive at the time to have it. However, he's very, very powerful. Dragon's a lot weaker. It just gives a bit of global gold to your team. Thank you for watching Me More Gaming. Subscribe for more. I try and post videos weekly. There's a link to my Twitter down below. And let me know in the comments, is there anything else you want to see on the channel, or would you just like me to stick with doing this? Let me know, and I'll see you next time. And a quick extra bit, a friend of mine has also got a YouTube channel. He's called Witography. A link to that in the description. Make sure to subscribe to him because he's helped me out a lot starting up and kind of inspired me to start up as well. Don't forget to check him out, and I will catch you next time. Or you'll listen to me next time at least.